Deborah Pastner, Rochester, Minnesota.
Hello, Deborah.
Welcome. Jess, Capson, Wisconsin.
Welcome.
Hey, Golden, Troy, and Tricia from Mabel, Minnesota.
Hello, Mabel, Minnesota.
Kevin Jim Nanks, Wisconsin.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Yeah, I know.
All callers are muted and they can unmute themselves.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Eric Golden coming from sunny South Florida. There's people on the call from West Texas right now that got hit with, 26 hours in a row with over 50-mile-an-hour winds. There's people in Minnesota that just got hit with, or getting hit right now over the next 24 hours with another, the second snowstorm on top of the heel of what just happened yesterday. The weather has finally come, but it's, we're past Christmas. The crazy thing about what we're doing, by the way, welcome if you're here for the first time. I want to especially welcome Cookie, brand new Cookie, sitting in Nathan and Jennifer Francis' living room in Wayzata, Minnesota. I think in the dining room is the way I saw it. So Cookie, a special welcome from South Florida. Guys and gals, it's an exciting time. If you're here for the first time, we run these calls every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. We also do a training on Saturday at noon Eastern and 11 a.m. Central. And then lastly, we have a go-getter call for those that want to be go-getters and make it happen quicker. Friday night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Wait, that could be wrong. 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. It's exciting because we're going to remind each and every one of you of this all the time. All you've got to do is text the word go-getter, G-O-G-E-T-T-E-R. Okay, if you want to be a go-getter, text go-getter to 41411. Okay? 41411, and we'll keep you updated on the Friday call. You're going to get emails for Saturday's call, and you get emails for Monday's call, and you'll never normally get a text additionally. It's exciting tonight. Why? It's the last training of 2015. You know what that means for me? It means that I get to congratulate all of you that got involved with us over the last year or have remained involved with us over the last year. Maybe you got started a little while earlier. But more importantly than this ending, let's look at it at the beginning of a new chapter. Let's start next year early. Let's get 368 days out of that sucker rather than 365. My job tonight is to shape the way you look at 2016. This is not one of these vignettes where we put pictures of what happened in 2015. For some of us, it was a phenomenal year. For many of us, it was a year of creating clearer vision and changing some habits. Many of us aren't at the clear vision we need. We're not the result of what our vision can get us, and we definitely don't have the habits that we're looking for. That's why you get on a call just like this. We're going to spend the next 15, 20 minutes, and we're going to play a simple game. We won't start right yet, but we're going to start a simple game of cards. I'm a big card player. I like playing cards. I play all different types: spades, hearts, poker. I play all the kids' heart games. I play the stupid games where you stick that up there and periodically people drink. I mean, I play all those games. I like card games. Why? Because I always believe anytime I have a deck of cards in my hand, I always believe I have a chance to win. Now think about this for a minute. The last time you were involved in any kind of game that involved cards, did you come in with an excitement that you could win? I need you to feel that way about what we do with the Hope Movement. I need you to feel right now, tonight, that 2016 can deliver to you exactly what the title that was promoted on the email and on Facebook said, that 2016 success is within your grasp. It's right here in your hand. Before we get to that, though, I want to do a couple of announcements. Very, very important on a couple of these, so stay with me. Really important announcements. The first one is tonight is the last chance for those of you that want to qualify for Focus 2016. If you want your ticket paid for by midnight tonight Central Time, you need to be a Ruby. If you want to qualify just to attend this coming Friday and Saturday, Friday evening and Saturday day through the, I guess, about 3:30, 4 o'clock on Saturday evening or Saturday afternoon. If you want to join us in Dallas for this special event, a couple hundred people, leaders and upcoming leaders, visionaries, people that want to go to work, people that have done a little bit, you have until tonight midnight to have sponsored at least 2 people. This is the other way to qualify. Go Ruby, we pay for your ticket. If you want to go and pay for your own ticket, You have to sponsor 2 people in the month of December or qualify through any of the big 6 incentives that we launched back about 6 to 8 weeks ago. You have until midnight tonight for all qualification. Remember that registration through midnight tonight is at uevolvcenter.com/focus16. As of tonight, midnight, we're pulling registration off. Check with your upline diamond or above if you, for some reason, figured that you qualified after midnight tonight. I don't know how you can do that, but if you did, make sure you contact your upline diamond or above, and they'll help you get to the event. The next thing is we have an event coming up that'll come up in a number of months. It's called an experience trip. Many of us have been working really hard to accumulate at least 10 points as of an original date in order to vote for where we're going. It's either Cancun, Puerto Rico, or up in Canada, British Columbia. Here's what I'll tell you: that a number of people have voted. Okay, right now we're leaning towards a specific location. I won't tell you which one. If you accumulated 10 points by the deadline in time, but you haven't been asked to vote, please send a message in immediately to info@evolvhealth.com. Let them know that you have accumulated at least 10 points by the deadline, and you know what that deadline is, and you know what the points are for. So help the MSAs out. When you send the email in at info@evolvhealth.com, list out the points, and maybe you'll clarify where they don't have you logged in with the right amount of points, and they can line item and see where that is. So tonight, let's get that done. That way you can vote and get a vote and a say for where we're going in June on the experience trip. The next thing is, I mentioned Focus 16. I want to let everybody know, many of you have registered at the Le Méridien Hotel, and they just went through a complete change of ownership and managerial staff. And so unless you have a confirmation email or number, and probably even if you do, if you think you're staying at the Le Méridien this coming weekend, you need to call them and verify it. Make sure that you have a confirmation number. We've already had a couple of people find out that they thought they were registered and they weren't. There's a number of hotels in the nearby area, but if you think you're going to Le Méridien, I want to make sure that when you get there, your hotel is waiting for you. Now, most of you are saying, why is he wasting time with that? Here's why: because there's a couple hundred people that have earned the right to spend time with the couple hundred people that have earned the right to spend time with them. See, this business is not about no one left behind. This is not a no one left behind. People will be left behind. And it's not because we want you to be left behind. It's because you won't go through and play the card game that we're going to talk about tonight. The simple game of card. It's not as hard as you think it is. I'll relate to that in just a minute. One more announcement. Hope Day on January 9th is the biggest single event our company will have ever had. There's 36 locations all across America on that Saturday, running a 4 to 4.5 hour event. Please make sure you register in advance. You'll be able to save $5. You don't pay online. Most places are either somewhere free or $5, up to about $15 max, 20 max. But the bottom line is, if you want to save $5 on it, and we need to know you're coming, please go to uevolvcenter.com/Hope Day. uevolvcenter.com/Hope Day. And what you'll do is you'll see all the different locations. Pick one that you're going to go to, register online, save yourself the $5, and get ready for January 9th. Most people are doing it first thing in the morning from around 9 to 1. Some people are doing it in the afternoon from around noon to 4. Check specifically where you're going, where it's being held, and more importantly, what times it's being held. Any questions, check with your upline Ruby and above. Now we are ready for the training. Look, this is the perfect time. Why is it the perfect time? Because going into a year prior to resolutions, and this is not the year for resolutions. This is not the year for resolutions. This is the year to be resolute. This is the year that you go into already have made the decision that the commitment's already been made. You're not going to make the commitment. You're going to act on the commitment that you've already made. Courage is not what you do when you're ready to do the big task. Courage is the reward you receive for doing something you wanted to do but weren't sure you'd accomplish. We want you to be courageous. Courageous is not facing fear. It's going into it, knowing that fear exists, but you can be victorious. So today, my goal is to break down building the business using a simple deck of 52 cards to prove to you that success truly is within your grasp. I was on the phone over the last 3 or 4 days with a number of people. And what's funny about these people is my relationships with people that I know fairly well are fairly open. We speak very honestly. And 3 people within a 24-hour period called me up over the last couple of days and said these words: if I'm ever going to build Evolv, I have to do it right now. So this is where our training starts tonight. The timing, by the way, I got probably 2 or 3 other calls from people that said, you know what, the timing is perfect for me right now. So let's merge those together. The timing is perfect or it's not perfect. But if you don't build it now, you may never build it. Well, let's handle the negative first. When someone says to me, if I don't build it right now, I'm never going to do it. That means in your mind, an option of quitting is available to you. This business will not be built if quitting is an option. It's not going to be built. Nobody that has an idea that if it doesn't work out, it's okay, is going to win here. You're going to get confused. You're going to be challenged. You're going to run across all kinds of crazy characters, both prospects and in your business. And you're going to get emotionally drained to the point where you're going to quit. So we have to eliminate, as is typical, the downside or the negative side of every thought. There's two sides of every thought. There's the positive side that gives you an emotional one, a positive, or there's the non-positive side that either gives you a 0 or something below that. It's a 1 or it's a 0. The whole internet algorithm is based on a 1 and a 0. Guys and gals, understand it's as simple as figuring out how to find the ones. So today we're going to start with a new language. It starts today with these words. That there's either good in your life or there's not good in your life. Either things are good. Oh, it's good. Man, the color of these cards is good. The water tastes good. The amount of money I have in my wallet is good. Or my cell service is not good. My handwriting is not good. And right now I'm sort of feeling not good. The word B-A-D, W-R-O-N-G, F-A-I-L, those 3 words do not exist in a positive mindset. Neutral exists. Positive and neutral is where we have to dwell for 2016. I'm going to make it as simple as 52 playing cards. See, when you get dealt a hand, that hand is the beginning point. We all have different hands. Look, we all want it to look just like this. I mean, who doesn't want it to look just like this? An ace, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, in order. Okay, who doesn't want to be perfectly suited? But when people look at network marketing, if you're here for the first time and you're looking at this idea, or you've been around it for 1 or 2 years, it has become more difficult in your mind. So you're either brand new, like Cookie, and she thinks, there's a lot I don't understand. Or you're been around for a year or 2 or 3 or 6 months, and it's gotten hard again. So let me show you what you think 52 cards look like. You know the name of the game is called Rummy. Most people, when they think about Rummy, if you're on the computer, you should be on a computer, evolvcenter.com/live. You're looking at a board with all kinds of hands. And those of you that know how to play Rummy, it's sort of easy to know what each of those things represent. But if you don't know how to play Rummy, it's just a whole bunch of cards, and it looks really confusing. So let me make it really easy for you. I'm going to take you on a child card game journey. I looked up the top 10 card games for kids. Now, don't multitask. Some of you right now are already searching it on the internet. Don't do that. Listen to me and watch. Okay? The top card games for kids, because I know this. If you can't beat a 3rd grader in cards, you don't have to be smarter than them, but you got to beat them in cards. Okay? You got to beat a 3rd grader in cards. And so the bottom line is you got to learn the games that they play. And people that you're going to encounter, prospects that you're going to talk to, they don't live in a rummy world. They think they live in a rummy world. straight of 1, 2, 3, 4 cards, all the same suit, or 3 of the same card, or 4 of the same card? Is ace high? Is ace low? How much do aces count? Are we knocking or playing rummy to 500? I mean, there's all kinds of ways to play the game of rummy. But let's start with a game we all understand. See, when you saw network marketing for the first time, I'll bet you that this card game looked or felt initially more like Go Fish. It literally felt like you just had a couple of little silly looking cards and you had to figure out how to match them. You have a 10, an 8, and a 2 in your hand. You got to find another 10 or 8 or 2. It's pretty simple. Bobby, come back to me on this. The cool thing about playing fish is that there's plenty of fish in the ocean. There's plenty of people out there. There's plenty of prospects out there. And you know, as well as I know, that you have matching cards with somebody. Now, you got matching cards. You can go back to Go Fish now, Bobby. Thank you. And so the bottom line is your job in playing Go Fish is to match a card with just one other person that sees the world or the opportunity or the hope movement the way you see it, with the opportunity. I want you to remember that's all you're looking for. Now, in doing that, let me prepare you for the journey. Because the next game you're going to learn how to play with that 52 cards we talk about is a game called Crazy Eights. And the reason we're going to play Crazy Eights is because even if we're the same people, we're just flipping different. I mean, every one of us. So we either have to, here's what I love about the game of Crazy Eights. I don't care ever in Crazy Eights which 8 I get, because they're all crazy. It gives me the latitude to redirect and live my game by design rather than living it by default. If I get stuck with a bunch of 3s and 7s and 9s and queens, and they're all different suits, the only thing that can fix that problem that I have control over is grabbing an 8, putting it down, and me deciding where I want to go next. People, it starts with Go Fish. It goes to Crazy Eights. And be aware, as we're going through Crazy Eights, every once in a while, you're going to run up against that weird person, that prospect. We'll call her an old maid. It doesn't have to be her, but there's always the old maid. There's that queen. Normally, you play it with the hearts. Some people play it with the spades. But the bottom line is, it says right there on the deck, who will be left holding the old maid? See, none of us want to encounter an old maid. And as we're prospecting, people understand, think about this. I'm actually, I conceptualized this talk a couple of days ago, and this afternoon about 3 o'clock, it all sort of came together. And I got to tell you something, and I don't often do this, but I'm sure hopeful that this message is as clear to you as it's coming out of me. It's been a long time since I've come up with a message that feels as good in the delivery as in the concept as when I came up with it. It doesn't have to be difficult, people. It starts with, we're playing fish. We're looking for a matching pair. We're only looking for one ace matched with another ace. 2 aces, now we have a beginning of a group. How do we do that? Well, we got to encounter some crazy people along the way, and periodically we're going to run up against a real Looney Tune. But understand what typically happens when you, and most of us have done this. Cookie, you're going to see how this works in a few days. You're going to start with fish, start fishing around. You'll get some crazy people. You'll get some free spirits. You're going to encounter an old maid that's going to make your life difficult. And all of a sudden, you're going to transition to another game called War. You forget that you're really just prospecting for similarities. You're looking for another queen. The problem is, that's a queen of spades. If you get a like queen, that could be a queen of hearts, which is the old maid. Maybe the queen of spades, maybe you're the problem. Maybe you have to evaluate how you're looking at the game. Maybe you're not looking for someone that's exactly like you. Maybe as a queen that has no time, you're looking for a 10 that works 9 to 5. Maybe as a 7 of clubs, You're looking for a 9 of diamonds that has better prospects. Maybe you're a 3 because you've been in 3 other networks and you failed miserably by not succeeding. And now you're looking for a jack who's got a little more positive experience. See, sometimes you don't have to match card for card, although that's the way it starts. What I want you to caution you away from doing is getting into war. This is not a game of war. Because when you get into war, it'll bring you right back to what you thought at the very beginning on the not good side. Remember, good was I can find a couple people that want this. I can match a couple of people. Not good is this is hard. What am I really doing? It's going to bring you back to rummy. So when it brings you back to rummy, understand this about the rummy game. You learn it one part at a time. If you've ever played rummy, and by the way, those of you that never play cards, you may not be getting this, but I'm hopeful the rest of you are. If you play rummy, the first thing you start looking for are matches, 3 of a kind or 4 of a kind. And then you start looking for little runs. And then you've got to learn when to throw the cards down and what card to discard. Well, you'll learn all that because that is what successful network marketing ends up looking like, but you don't build it that way. It doesn't, you don't build it by looking at all the different things that may work. You build it by concentrating on the things that we know will work. So I'm gonna introduce the easiest game anyone has ever played. Now, I remember playing this as a very young kid. I don't know if I was 4, 5, or 6, but I remember playing this game over and over and over. War became my new favorite game, but concentration was my favorite. See, this is the game we're playing. In the world, there's lots of cards. Your job is to keep turning it over until you match. This is the game we play. If you do it right, you match 1, and then all of a sudden, you begin duplicating that, and concentration now becomes a much more intriguing board, much more exciting. But I want you to understand, if you're a 4, you're only looking for another 4, but maybe a 5, and you'll pick a 10 up along the way. If you're a king, you're looking for a couple of aces along the way, but you wouldn't mind picking up a matching 5. The bottom line, people, is it's a game of fishing and connecting. It's not a game of worrying about discarding. You don't have to give away any of these cards. You can keep all of them until you get enough matches to make it work. So let me ask you a question as I begin to close this out. Which game looks easier to you? Rummy or concentration? Well, the word rummy in its root means you need to get alcoholed up just to survive the game. Little play on rum. Now, the Captain Morgan that's on the call right now, I'm sure he's probably thinking the same thing because he's Captain Morgan. Brian, salute to you. Look forward to seeing you in a couple of days. But the bottom line is, which serves you, drinking more rum or concentrating? I'm going to repeat that. More rum or concentrating? Looking for what you're looking for. The bottom line in each of these is if you can break it down to the simple elements. So I'm going to go through it, and I'm going to bring Nathan France on to just give a perspective of what I just shared. And then I'm going to close up with a couple of comments that I've been dying to make. I've been holding these comments till the end of the year. I've had them for a number of months, but I want to get Nathan's perspective on this. But before I do that, I want to repeat the game we're playing. It starts with you have all the cards you ever need. You don't have to give any back. Nobody takes them out of your hands. You can discard them if they end up being problematic, but it starts without question with you fishing. And as you're fishing, it's pretty simple to understand that you're going to run across crazy people, and then one really crazy person that will call the old maid that's going to cause you to want to play war. And that's going to bring you right back to thinking it's hard again. So what you have to do is concentrate. Concentrate on looking for one other person that connects directly with you. Now, about 3 years ago, yesterday, I connected with the guy I'm about to introduce. Nathan, Can you close up this section with just something you're thinking about, brother? Help me welcome Visionary Ambassador from Minnesota, Nathan France. Nathan, take it away, buddy.
Well, Eric, you know me, I like cards. So when you start talking about cards, I get excited. Because I know this, if I play long enough, Eric, even if I suck, right, which most of the things, as you know about Nathan France, I'm just not very good at most things, except for one, which is consistency. It's easy to concentrate. It's easy to be consistent when you continue to play. And Eric, the reason I've continued to play cards here at Evolv is I know why I'm playing. If you know why you're going to play cards in the first place, the game will figure itself out. Look, there's 52 cards in a deck. I liked what Eric said earlier. There's 4 aces in there. I could take that deck and not discard and just flip cards, right? Card after card after card after card, Eric. And for me, that's concentration, because eventually I'm going to flip over a card with the guy standing behind me, my good friend Joel Bauman. I'm going to flip over a card with the guy sitting to my left, Anthony Sauls. I'll flip over a card where my son Tyler, Hung, Cookie, Aaron, right? The couples that just literally just left our house, Eric. And as we continue to flip cards, what began to happen is 3s and 4s started going, well, wait a minute, I went to an event like Focus 16, Eric, and I want to be an ace. These cards began to replicate and duplicate and become the cards, Eric, through the hope movement that they wanted to be. You know, when we took battered women foster kids through Emily's Place off the streets for 7,400 nights a year ago, the 75,000 kids that we fed over the last 3 weeks, it began to compound into games that we weren't even necessarily playing anymore. And now all of a sudden, Eric, we're changing the world, brother. So when you start flipping cards, man, you can get flipping rich in more ways than one.
I appreciate the perspective. Hey, Joel, you look super studly back there. You got anything to add? Jump on here, brother. Come on, JB. Inspire us.
Hey, we were, it's funny, let's tell a quick story about flipping cards. You know, somebody that I introduced the Hope Movement to, I was just wrestling in Las Vegas, and I had random roommates were selected. And out of the random roommates that were selected, one of the gentlemen that was rooming with me was actually one of my customers. Now, he's been on the program for 8 months because one of what some people might consider I consider him, you know, an ace. You know, he's continued to be here. Other people might consider him, you know, whatever they consider him. But out of some of the people that he's talked to, out of the one person that he shared this thing with, here's a guy that I'm rooming with that I've never met before, who pulls out his Limitless and goes, "This product changed my life." He's in the Army, and he got military. He discharged from the military because he fell down a cliff and got brain contusion, messed up nerves and everything. And he said that our product line is the only reason that he's here wrestling in this tournament. He's also wrestling in college again, and it was all because one of my buddies. He hasn't really sponsored anybody, you know, terrific in the program. He hasn't really done big things like he's wanted to, but the one person that he shared this with ended up rooming with me last week out in Las Vegas, and he said our program changed his life. So this program can reward you in more ways than you think it can. You just got to flip the cards.
You just got to fish, brother. Thank you, Joel. Blue Diamond from Minneapolis. Guys and gals, let me begin to close with a thought that I had a few months ago. And, you know, my job as one of the trainers here at Evolv in the field is to help everybody do 2 things: dream bigger and believe more. You know, today's call is not about dreaming, other than the reality that it could be you. It's literally within your grasp. Everything you need is either right there within you, or it's just outside of your body, within an arm's length, within a phone call, within an earful. Now, you understand you have the ability to keep gathering more cards. When you build this business, and I expect you to, and it sounds weird because there's literally hundreds and hundreds of people watching and listening, and you're saying, you don't know me, why do you think I'm going to build it? Here's why. Because I think you can. The hardest part is getting in. Once you're in, you've made the hardest decision. It's easier to quit than it is to get in. It's easier to build than it is to quit. Why? Because in the long run, the only thing that will ever serve you is getting it done. Because if not, you'll remember that you never got it done, and you'll be miserable for that part for the rest of your life. You're sitting, as we say, in the $1 million seats. But there's a certain, anytime you pick up cards, there's a certain mystique that runs around it, and we call it magic. You know, I don't know anybody that doesn't understand magic is the power of apparently influencing the course of events by using mysterious or supernatural forces. Keep that up there, Bobby. So let's talk about magic for a minute. It's not black magic, magic. The power of apparently influencing the course of events by using mysterious or supernatural forces. So let's hover on this for a minute, keep it just like it is. The power. I counsel a number of people in this industry for a number of years. I still actively counsel people. And the one thing I will tell you that everybody gets before freedom is the feeling of power. Now, again, power can either be good or it can be not good. But when you feel power for good, when you feel powerful, your life changes. Freedom is not as big a feeling of success as feeling powerful. The power of apparently. Apparently means, oh, not it is, but oh, it's a surprise. Apparently, it doesn't say the power of influencing. It's the power of apparently, like you weren't necessarily going to influence the course of events because you weren't. You either live life by design by influencing the course of events, and it becomes apparent that you're in control of your own rocket ship. Sometimes it never leaves the ground. But I want you to see this word events. The power of apparently influencing the course of events. Every time you meet somebody and prospect them, that's an event. Every time you set an appointment, that's an event. Every time you share hope with someone at a presentation, that's an event. When you taste a sample, that's an event. When you do a three-way call, that's an event. When you follow up properly, that's an event. When you handle people's objections, that's an event. When you sign them up, that's an event. When you open them up and launch big, that's an event. The power, the strength, the command, the control, the sincerity, the absolute dominance of apparently influencing the events of the rest of your life. So let's handle the dark side of this by using mysterious. Here's what's mysterious. You got to go back to playing Go Fish. Look for some crazy eights. You'll find an old maid. Don't play war. You don't want it to look like rummy. Just concentrate. That's what's mysterious. You've got to realize every time you think it's hard, go fish. Concentrate. Start all over again. Every time you think it's hard, you've gotten to a ledge that you're not believing you can jump off and survive. Whether the wings in your parachute aren't going to open, or your paraglider, or it's too deep, the water it's too high, and you're gonna die, or the rocks at the bottom. Every time you get to a cliff and you're thinking, I can't win, back up and start all over again. The good news is we'll let you hold on to all these cards. But I gotta handle this word supernatural, because so many people think supernatural is something that's supernatural. So let's define let's look at the definition of what supernatural is. It's attributed to some force beyond scientific understanding or the laws of nature. So magic, making something happen, living life by design rather than by default, is attributed somehow to a force beyond scientific understanding or the laws of nature. So let me handle that when we're done. Scientific understanding. I'm not talking about scientific products like ours. We have phenomenal products. Forget those products for a moment. Every single body in your body, every single body in your phone, every single person that breathes, that you know, every one of them wants to feel better. Every single one of them either wants more time, more money, more security, more purpose, or a combination of all of them. Every single person you know wants what we have. So when I say attributed to some force beyond scientific understanding would say this: everybody should do this. Everybody should get in. We're saving money, replacing spending, and getting healthy along the same way. Why wouldn't people get in? We're talking to friends about a community of inspiring other people to get more out of their life while helping women, children, feeding hungry. Why isn't everybody getting in? Because it has nothing to do with scientific understanding. It defies scientific understanding. What does it have to do with? The laws of nature. And right now, you're either fueled by one of two laws. I'll close with this. Your law of nature is either survival or success. It's either survival or success. And normally people that are in their survival mode will get out of that mode by focusing on success. And normally people that are in success mode at some point will back off and go back to survival. Guys and gals, it's as simple as playing a simple game of cards. You just got to stay in the game, concentrating long enough to have everything delivered to you. It's going to be a phenomenal 2016. So I'll leave you with, have a safe, happy, prosperous New Year's Eve and New Year. And now you see me.